committee to order. Thank you very much.
Chair, we're now live.
Thank you very much. Welcome, a warm welcome to those attending or viewing us on Hillingdon YouTube, Hillingdon, London. My name is Councillor Henry Higgins. I'm the chairman of this meeting. Details of business are to be considered are shown on the agenda, copies of which are accessible online underneath the live broadcast and in the room if you wish. I think there might be some there. For those present in the room and attending to speak, please note that you will be filmed and any statements that you make will be recorded and made public. A reminder to anybody speaking today that your voice will only be audible online if the microphone is switched on. We're not expecting a fire alarm. If the fire alarm goes off, please follow officers out of the building. For those of you in the audience with mobiles, can you please turn them off? Obviously, we are trying to go digitally paperless, so you'll see that most of us have computers to view our plans on and not for playing Candy Crush. First we go to the attendees to the agenda tonight, which is my Vice Chairman, Councillor Adam Bennett, welcome. Councillor Roy Chandel, welcome. Okay. Yeah, I know. Councillor Gaelic, sorry, beg your pardon. Councillor Sensipur is not here. Councillor Singh, welcome. Obviously we have a substitute. Welcome, thank you very much, Councillor Davis. Officers to here on my right I have Kate Cosby, Area Planning Service Manager, and Ed Lawton to her right. Then Chris Brady to that right. And then Michael Bringshaw, and then Mike Kemp, welcome. I haven't seen you that often. Dr. Tilly is there for our transport. Natalie Fairclough is our legal advisor, and welcome. And Liz Penny is my Director of Crack Services, and she's wonderful, and she makes everything run so smoothly, so I'm really happy. And you're my favourite, but I won't say any more of that. Okay, so we'll have apologies for absence, please, Liz.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies have been received from Councillor Keith Burrows, with Councillor Darren Davies substituting this evening. Councillor Sensipur, we are hoping he's going to be along shortly. Okay,
thank you very much, and welcome, Councillor Davis. Declarations of interest in matters to be coming for this meeting, Councillor Chandel.
Yes, Chairman, on your advice, I will have to sit out agenda item number 5.
6. Don't worry.
5.
I've got it. Item 6.
Right.
Read. Colin McCallum. Yeah, thank you very much. Right, where am I now? So there's no matters that have been notified in advance and urgent. Everything is in part 1, and there's no items in part 2. So we will, without further ado, we will go to the first thing. Thank you, Councillor Chandel. Okay. Which you? Chris? It's you? Okay, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 6 relates to a householder planning application at 5 Demeter Cowley. The proposal involves the erection of a single-storey rear extension and double-storey side extensions to both sides of the property, following the demolition of the existing garage and removal of 2 chimney stacks. Here's the location plan with the site denoted in red. Here is the constraints plan. There is designated greenbelt land to the north and the south, and the Cowley Church Conservation Area surrounds the site. This site is also located within the Article 4 area, restricting permitted development rights for the conversion to small-scale HMOs, which is C4. Here is an aerial image of the application site. The application site is contained within the red outline. Here is the existing front elevation. An image of the existing rear elevation. Here is the photo of the property. The application site is on the left. Please note that the neighbouring property to the north the east of this photo, number 7, has its front habitable room windows directly facing the existing side elevation of the application property. Here is the same photo, but just taken with slightly more context included. Here is an example of existing extensions of a distinctly similar design at number 2, which is over the other side of the street. And here is an example of a smaller extension, albeit an extension at number 1. I'll just take you through some of the existing and proposed drawings. So here's the location and block plan, the site denoted within the red line. Existing and proposed site plans. Existing ground floor plan. Existing first floor plan. Existing loft floor plan. And existing roof plan. Here are the existing elevations. I'd pay particular attention to the existing ground floor side element. Proposed ground floor plan. Proposed first floor plan. What you'll notice from this proposed first floor plan is that the existing ground floor side element, which I just pointed out a moment ago, now extends to 2 stories. Proposed loft plan. Proposed roof plan. Here are the proposed front and rear elevations. So you'll notice that the proposed 2-storey extensions are set in from the neighbouring boundaries, or the boundaries of the site. They're set down from the main ridge, and they also measure less than half of the width of the original front elevation. As such, they do accord with the council's design policy DMHD1 for 2-storey extensions. Here are the proposed side extensions and proposed sections. In terms of the assessment, as I referred to earlier, I'm just going to move to actually this photo here. As I referred earlier, the extensions comply with DMHD1, which seek to ensure that extensions to domestic properties are domestically scaled, well designed, and appear subordinate. So when reviewing an assessment for a householder planning application, there are 2 main parts of the assessment. So the first is how does it impact the character and appearance of the street scene? I've already stated that the extensions in terms of their design, scale, bulk and mass conform with DMHD1. We've seen in these photos that there are distinctly similar extensions within the character and appearance of the street scene. Therefore, in the officer's opinion and in terms of compliance with the policy, these extensions would not appear to be out of character. They are domestically scaled and subordinate additions to this property. As such, their design is supported. In terms of the second part of the assessment, that is whether or not the extensions would result in significant harm to the residential amenities of the neighbouring properties. So, as explained earlier, the property to the north, which is number 7, has habitable room windows which directly face this existing side elevation of this application property. Noted within the officer's committee report that the upper floor window serves a bedroom and the ground floor window serves a study or office. We have described those both as habitable room windows. Now, within the assessment of neighbour impact, in the event that a set of extensions complies with the policy, there would not normally be a requirement to submit a daylight and sunlight report. However, given the orientation and the location of those front-facing windows, even though the existing property would more than likely breach the 45-degree angle taken from the centre line of those windows, officers discussed with the applicant the submission of a daylight and sunlight report. That report has been submitted, noting a couple of drafting errors it takes into consideration the worst case scenario. So the front elevation of number 7 would be located approximately 7.8 metres from the side-facing wall. Now, that is a relatively close distance, but enough distance that the existing light levels to those rooms would not be significantly impacted. So in terms of how the assessment has been assessed, it complies with the BRE guidance in terms of daylight and sunlight received to those neighbouring windows. Officers are satisfied that the proposed development accords with the development plan, and therefore there are no reasonable grounds to refuse the application. As such, we are recommending approval. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chris. Well done, as always. Okay, so this is a petition item. Mr. Sadhu, are you here? Would you like to come to the table, please? Just run through the system that we have. You have 5 minutes. You have a traffic light system here. You go from green for 4, amber's 1, red is stop, and I will stop you. Please don't think I'm rude, I'll tell you that in advance. That's just the rules. Yes, of course, I'm going to do that for you. I believe that you've got some information that's going out. Officers will put that up for you now.
If you just tell me when you want the slide moved, I'll move it along. Yep.
Okay, so your 5 minutes will start when you press the red button.
That one. Yep.
Okay. So when you press the button there, your 5 minutes will start.
Okay, so I live at number 7, and mine and my neighbours' concerns are that the initial plans were depicted as actually 8-bedroom and 2-staircase property, which was a very much a HMO-driven house design with bedrooms downstairs as well as 2 separate staircases separating the building. We understand, we know the applicant is actually a property developer with numerous properties, and it appeared to be quite disproportional to the street character, because it seems as though it's been squeezed in between 2 properties. Regarding the report, we disagree with the report because it focuses solely on the number 2, the Meads, which doesn't consider its surroundings, number 2 surroundings. The property area around number 2, it's not like for like, it's not a fair comparison, and it shouldn't be taken as a precedent for justification. So 3 of 8 properties have a double story on just one side. Number 2 is the only property that has a 2 double-storey extension, and it's uniquely placed, as you can see, at the top of the street. It is an open location, and the character of the road is not compromised. It has ample area on the side. It's a very large, actually 11 plus metres there, on a side plot, and there's only one neighbour adjacent to it. Number 5, on the other hand, is located at the bottom of the close. It has neighbours on both sides, and most importantly to know, ourselves at number 7, we are front-facing at a 90-degree angle. So number 5 has no side plot or additional space. It's actually, as you saw, it's my front garden, which is a 7-metre lawn. We believe it's not in line with the general character of the actual street setting. Our house is directly front-facing the proposed development, and my front windows are impacted by a loss of light and shadowing. The office, as you stated before, the office and the bedroom windows impacted already at the low end of the threshold. So development creates a further loss, 10% in the office room and 7% in the bedroom. So that's our main kind of source of light. Your own policy, and I know you quoted that, from what I understand, states that detached houses should at least be set back a minimum of 1 metre, and this has been totally disregarded, but number 2 is not a valid comparison, considering it has no other property next to it. So really, I want to bring to your attention, there's a house on our road, number 4. It sits opposite number 5, which is a good example of planning, thought and consideration. It's been considerate to neighbours and street setting, as it's set to 3 metres back. It gives plenty of space to surrounding neighbours. It complements the natural flow of the curve of our road at the end. But number 5 contradicts all this. It contradicts the street view. It has no consideration for the surroundings. regarding the sunlight and daylight report, I've no confidence in the credibility of the report. It's not a reliable source of data. It's been updated numerous times for whatever reasons they may be, but each and every time it seems to be more favourable for the applicant. If you look at if you compare the results, they're varying data results. There's actually no actual reason for the change in the results, but the modelling hasn't changed, so there's no actual reason. It's also actually compiled by the author's not registered with any reputable professional body, so I have doubts in the report alone. In summary, because of the things I've highlighted, I would like to understand if there's any safeguarding that the council can put in place against any future HMO or subletting. We would actually request that approval would not be granted, and that maybe a partial development would be reviewed because of the impact to our house. Because of the front-facing 90-degree angle that we're at a unique angle compared to other properties. There's a loss of light skyline, close proximity. It should rather follow the 3 houses with a double story on one side as opposed to the one house, which is number 2, which has a 2 double story. That's the only one that's there. And it's just going to be a less impact on the street view and scene. It just follows the natural character of the road.
Yeah. Because we can talk about some of those photos, actually. That shows you what the proposed look would look like on the top in the main street view, which is out of character of the street scene or the way the street looks. Yeah. If you go to the next picture, I'll just quickly talk about that one. So that one would show you what the block would look like in front of my house, my 2 front windows over there. It's unacceptable. This building cannot be squeezed in that small space without having any additional side plot or side spaces. We're literally putting a big block right in the middle of between 2 neighbours. It doesn't feel fair. It doesn't feel right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
5 minutes up. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Please stay there, please. Does any councillors like to have asked questions? Yes, Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you as well for your petition and for talking us through it. So, look, I had a couple of questions. So the first one was, so your house there, number 7.
Yeah.
Has that been extended? So the left-hand side, the part that is that kind of goes further along to the left.
So yeah, that is an extension that was there as well. It's been extended on that side.
Cool. No, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
It's just that when you look out those windows, at the moment, the ground floor, you just see the little trees and you don't see any overlooking from the top. But if there was a second story on top, that would create extra sort of cramping and stuff. I mean, 7 metres isn't very far, to look at, and it's unfair to build that extra big development on that side is why we're petitioning against that.
And that was my next question, actually, was just on the next photo where it shows kind of the view from your front garden currently. Because like the previous picture really makes it look like, huge overdevelopment. But then when you look at this actually with the vegetation and that screens most of it, actually it looks much less marginal. I just wanted to check. You're comfortable that that's kind of an accurate representation?
I've kind of tried to. It probably would have come out a bit more, to be honest, but it's just the way I've kind of coloured it in. But there is another photo there, actually. I think one of the other photos that I got there. If you want to go forward, I'll show you. There's another one there. Don't think it's there actually. Is it one back? I mean, that one also shows you from the street view how it would poke out. It wouldn't be in character of the road to have a square like that in the middle at the bottom of the close. The top of the close is different. It's got a lot of space. There's a lot of air and space around that building. To squeeze a building like that in between 2 houses and one house already facing 90 degrees at you is unfair, and I don't feel that should be granted permission to go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Davies, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, to this picture here, I'm glad we're on this one. I can see there's some shadow in there already. What sort of time of day was this picture taken?
I don't know, I could probably look at my phone.
My worrying is that if we're worried about daylight and sunlight, you've already got shadowing on that property at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, there is shadowing there, just with the single story and the house in general.
Yeah.
And that will only increase more if you're going to put another bolt, another container on top, and it would cover most of my house. I mean, to be honest, I've spent quite a lot of money to do my house up as well, and I appreciate everybody wants to make their house better, but I mean, at this stage of planning and staging, we can actually make things right. And so, it's unfair on the neighbour in front of you to have such a big block. All the rest of the neighbours have got a a single two-storey on one side, which is the normal pattern and trend on the road. It's only different at number 1 because he's got like 12 metres in front, you know. There's nothing impacting. He's only connected to one neighbour by a garage, you know, one side. And there's no impact of light or any other issues.
Okay.
It's only me. I mean, I'm in a particular unique position that my house faces right to the wall, you know, the wall of my neighbours, and you know, it would be a worse case, a more horrible living experience if it was, you know, to have another double story on top.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor. Any more questions? Everybody fine? Thank you very much. You want to take a seat?
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Hack, would you like to come to the table? As I said earlier on, you have 5 minutes. 4 on green, 1 on amber, red I will stop you. Okay? Whenever you're ready, just press the microphone, please. So it turns on. That's it. Lovely.
First of all, the thing is, the number 7, my neighbour, he misguided the people to say the petition was wrong. He said HMO. I didn't apply for HMO at all. It's a family house. I'm a consultant plastic surgeon, work for NHS. It's a family house for my own children. I've got 4 children. I apply this under the rule and regulation, and it's only downstairs. It's not a bedroom. The architect makes the mistake. That was my office. And the left-hand side is the gym. And the upper 5 is only 5-bedroom house, because I've got 4 sons and husband and wife. We need a 5 house, this thing. There's no HMO. It's a family house. It's for my own. And plus he said the shadow, he take the picture. I can take the picture like this and make a shadow like this. The photo doesn't mean. The report showing, which the company, it's a fair report, there's a distance between his house and my house is 9 meters. And I can bulk it, this red color, he make it, it's not going like this. If you show me the picture, it's only single story on the top of that one. It's not going to up to the loft. You know, the picture he make the red one, it will be only on the top is a single story extension. It will be at the top of this one. He went right up to the top, and there. So here, it will be the top of that. Can you see the edge? It will be going that edge. It's not going to the loft. He mentioned it. And first of all, he said to the people, I'm a property developer. It's totally wrong. I'm working for NHS last 31 years. And I'm a consultant for NHS. It's a family house. I have only 2 houses. I'm not a developer. He said this to the whole, signed the petition. He mentioned HMO. He mentioned the property developer. And I went to the people, and then they write that we misguided. They mentioned in the comment that we have no objection. You can see in their website, they said that we have no objection, but number 7 came and he said to us that it's HMO. I didn't apply for HMO. It's a residential house. How I can apply for HMO? So I have the right, and it's under I read the proposal and everything. According to the rules and regulation, I have the right to make 5-bedroom house for my children. That's what I can say. And I went to, he should have come to me, said to me, we could have discussed this. He went all the way, write a petition and speak to everybody, and misunderstanding creating and telling them he's making HMO, and tomorrow other people will be coming and he's a property developer. How you know me? I just moved there and you telling to the people this, how a good neighbor you are. And this is totally, utterly, I don't accept it. Even I pay the fees. The architect told me that it's a proper regulation that is 9 meters, it doesn't cover his thing. And plus I'm not making any window towards him that it will affect him. My window is towards the roadside. It's both on the top, one is already in the roadside, on the top will be in the roadside as well. It's not affecting his privacy. But everything is under the rule, and I'm making like this, not like a huge building which it will affect him. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for your time. Does anybody want to please sit down? Does anybody want to ask any questions of the Doctor? Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much for your time. Okay, before we have Councillor Onana, would you like to come? And as you are aware, Councillor Wallana, you only have 3 minutes. Okay? So whenever you're ready, sir, press your mic on, please. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Chairman, committee, good evening. I am speaking to formally object to this planning application with particular concern regarding its adverse impact on the neighbouring property at number 7, the Meads. My objections are grounded in material planning considerations and are set out below. The proposed double-storey side extension on the boundary with number 7 would significantly reduce natural light to side-facing windows and garden areas of the neighbouring property. This would result in substantial overshadowing, materially harming the living conditions of the occupants. The development is contrary to the guidance set out in the Building Research Establishment Site Layout Planning for Daylight and Sunlight, which states that new development should not cause a significant reduction in daylight or sunlight to neighbouring properties. The proposals would therefore create an oppressive and unacceptable environment for the residents of number 7. The scale, bulk and positioning of the proposed extensions would result in a highly overbearing form of development when viewed from number 7. This existing sense of space and openness between the properties would be substantially reduced, causing a visually oppressive and cramped relationship. This outcome is contrary to the objectives of the Hillingdon Group Plan Part 2 Policy DMHD2, which seeks to ensure that new development protects the amenity of neighbouring properties and preserves the character of the residential areas. The proposed extensions would also disrupt the uniformity and rhythm of the Meads by filling the existing gap between number 5 and number 7 with a double-storey side extension. The proposals would create a terracing effect that is out of character with the prevailing pattern of development in the street. This is inconsistent with the Hillingdon Local Plan. In conclusion, for the reasons outlined above, I respectfully request the committee that planning should be refused. The development would cause a loss of daylight and sunlight to number 7, create overbearing and cramped relationship, reduce the sense of openness, and detrimentally alter the character of the Meads. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wallana. Anyone else got a question? You may take your seat. Thank you very much. Right, before I put it out to the committee, I just want to clear up some few things. So I'm going to ask officers to pick the things up first. Okay? Chris?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just a couple of things. I think, first of all, the commentary around the submitted photos, I think it's a laudable attempt by the petitioner to provide an outline of what the potential harm could be. I think for committee members it's really important that we as officers give you direction about where we should be focusing the attention and the assessment. The plans which are in the committee pack are appropriately scaled and meet the validation requirements for a planning application. I wouldn't say that the photos within the petitioner's presentation would be considered valid or appropriately scaled. Just to address also the points around the daylight and sunlight assessment that's been provided, I think we need to be careful when we're discussing the professionalism of a consultant that's provided a report. The consultant which has provided the report clearly outlines the BRE guidance within the report, which is the appropriate standards for which daylight and sunlight should be assessed. They are a consultant, and I need to be careful when I say this not to be advertising a specific company, but they are a consultancy which provide more than daylight sunlight reports. So they provide a varied range of environmental reports which support planning applications. Okay. In terms of the assessment itself, officers have confirmed within the report and given quite considerable justification for why the development is considered to be acceptable, within the character and appearance of the street scene, and I would struggle to see how that is being questioned, given the clear example of the similar design development across the road. What I can consider to be acceptable is that there is an element of harm that's been described by the petitioner, given the fact that there is a close distance to their property at number 7. What we need to be really mindful of is these are domestically scaled extensions. They comply with DMHD1 in the round. We've already seen from the petitioner's photos themselves that there is a limited amount of the side extension, which is the most harmful part of the development in their eyes, because it's the closest part, that will be viewed from above the tree line. And the daylight and sunlight report picks up on the fact that the windows within that front elevation are already overshadowed, and that the development would not significantly surpass that existing overshadowing, which I'd probably say isn't helped by the existing vegetation that you saw in the photos, to a degree that it fails the BRE guidance. So, one, it's arguable whether or not the daylight and sunlight report would be required, especially in the event of an appeal. Officers have sought to obtain that in order to ensure that there isn't a significant harm which remains untested. We've tested it, reviewed it, and we consider it to be robust. Therefore, there isn't a reason to refuse this application on residential amenity grounds. Just finally picking up on the point regarding HMO, we've already stated that this area, there is an Article 4 restriction on properties within this area that prevent the conversion of single-family dwelling houses, C3, to small-scale HMOs, which is use class C4, without the requirement for a planning application. So in the event that this property were to be converted and no application submitted, there would be an element or a mechanism to enforce upon that. And the applicant is now aware that should this property be converted to a HMO, it would require the benefit of planning consent, and that would be subject to an assessment and public consultation, which the petitioner would have a right to comment on. Thank you, Chair.
Chris, I think that covered up most of those things. Just on the element of the colouring in, as we can see on the drawings here, that I'll deliberately put those back in, you can see that that is actually set back on that side. So the one on the right hand side has showed that the first story, which is still existing, the second story has been set back behind it. So it would give a little bit of a different view, but it was a noble effort to sort of indicate that. So we've discussed the fact that there's an Article 4, so there's no HMO. It has to come back to the planning committee for a licence. So that one element is taken over. So, Councillor Davis, you indicated.
Yeah, can I just get some clarity on that? So I understand it's in an Article 4 area. So does that mean that the normal 6-bedroom rule doesn't apply? So if it's below 6 beds, it can't be turned into a HMO, no? Okay. Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, there's always, I'm pleased we've been able to answer the HMO question, because the petitioner spoke around that. It's a valid concern. You know, they get a bit of a bad rep, and so everyone always worries when you see a big property being constructed, which is entirely the applicant's right to do so. It's a large family home that it could be used as an HMO, but it's good to know that actually, in terms of one of the petitioner's concerns, that's answered in the sense of any transition would need to come back to the planning committee for consideration. I do feel for the petitioner on this, but to me there is also an irony as well that the rooms that are most impacted are an extension themselves along the side of the property, and you know that there are other houses in the road. You know, the first thing I did when I looked at the application and it said 2 double side story extensions, a rear single story, was to have a look on Google Maps, and you can see that the street scene has accommodated this, both sort of double extensions on one side, and in the case of the house that, you know, it isn't a like for like, as the petitioner said, but it's on the same road and would be viewed by the planning inspectorate if this went to appeal as being the street scene. And I don't think we would have any ability to be able to defend a refusal in that regard. and if we were to refuse and it went to appeal, then we would lose any conditions that have been negotiated already. So I think on that basis, as much as I think it's a very large-scale development, I don't think policy-wise there's anything that restricts us or gives us any sort of grounds to refuse it. So I'd be happy to go with officer's recommendation for approval.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gaelic.
Thank you, Chair. So we were told that there's no loss of privacy or overlooking into those two windows. But do we know, based on the assessment, daylight and sunlight, how many hours of direct sunlight those two rooms get, let's say, in winter months, and how would it impact those hours with the extension going up?
You want to have a look at that, Chris? I'll take another question if you don't mind. Councillor Davis, you wanted to say?
Yes, Chairman, I've just lost my notes. Mine was on the daylight and sunlight assessment. Can we just get some clarity on the amendments? Was it just typos that were amended, or was there figures that were amended as well?
Yeah,
just because it was raised by the resident.
Yeah, I'll come back on the first initial question in a moment. What I would say in the meantime is page 36, 37 and 38 provide a very extensive assessment of what was in the report, including various calculations which were undertaken. They're not just taken out of the report itself. We have actually reviewed it, and officers have written a comprehensive assessment on it. So whilst I'm answering Councillor Davis's question, I'd just like to direct members to those pages. In terms of the issues with the report itself, there were some drafting errors in the report which indicated or illustrated some extensions which had actually not been constructed. Whilst the report itself is based on the worst case scenario, because it initially did include those extensions, we actually had them removed because we wanted to be transparent and ensure that we had an updated and complete report prior to bringing this to planning committee, and that was one of the reasons why it was delayed from coming to the previous planning committee. So it had no impact at all in terms of the output, but in terms of what was in the appendices, there were some indications of extensions within that which we were aware were not constructed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. It's in the report.
Yeah, I can probably answer it just in quick terms, just from reading this. So, in terms of the report itself, it undertook two assessments. So one is the vertical sky component, and the other is the no skyline. Normally, you're required to do one or the other. We had both done just to demonstrate that it wouldn't be significantly harmful. We also looked at whether the comparison of a gable-ended roof would be more harmful, and it would. Hence why you see two hip ends on either side of the extension. In terms of the daylight hours themselves, that's not how the VSE or the NSL is calculated. It is for external areas, but not necessarily internal. And what we can say is where the development had less than 27%, so if it didn't already meet the BRE guidance, there would need to be more than a 27% change. That the report itself concludes that there isn't it doesn't breach that threshold. So whilst there isn't in the report a specific daylight hours or coverage within the report, there is a percentage in which the assessment is undertaken within the report.
Thank you, Chris. Okay.
Well, I read the assessment, and it's like a few pages of mathematical calculations and tables, which doesn't, answer my question, because it's important, I think, if you have a bedroom or even a study, you want to have, let's say an hour or 2 hours of direct sunlight, rather than just see the sky up above. But that doesn't give clear indication of any duration of that.
I appreciate where you're going with this. we did see a photo that was submitted by the petitioner, which showed that there was already go back there, you can already see that the shadowing there. The question is, and if you look out the window, there's green foliage. So the element, can you tell us which way the sun is rising and setting on that property? Okay, right. So you can see that the property's in shadow. It probably at 6:48, they probably get full sun. So it's already, if the existing property is already shadowed, that you then, are you adding anything more to create even more shadowing? Yeah, I know. And the other bit at the back is not there. But the question is it's not about the design of it. It's about where the sun is rising or it's setting. So we can say if it's from the west, there'll be more light on it. But there is always foliage in that as well. That will create shadowing. So I think. Go on. Yeah.
I'd just like to cover this off as well. There is a considerable amount of overshadowing already taken place. What this development is doing is it's actually bringing that existing side elevation slightly lower, than it's existing, albeit closer by approximately 3 meters. So any harm that would be derived by the development would be very, very limited because the harm already exists. I think Councillor made a very good point in saying that the harm which is already there to number 7 is contributed by the fact that those windows are within an extension. So in fact that the extension has been constructed knowing that there would be some harm already there. So this extension is being constructed approximately 3 meters closer to that property. You can barely see it from the photos that the petitioner has put within their presentation as above the existing tree line. And as much as there is a report that's it includes various calculations, there's also an explanation for what those calculations mean just above that. So we've put an assessment within our report across 3 pages within the committee report which outline that we are supportive over the limited harm that this development would have on that side. And I don't really think there's anything further that I can elaborate on that.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Okay. Councillor Davis, you wanted to come back?
Yeah, just a very quick question. Do officers feel that we need to restrict some sort of scaffolding restriction there if we were minded to move forward, part of the construction management plan, just because of the distance from the property?
Well, they're not allowed to go encroach on anybody else's property, so they'd have to do the construction on site.
That's why I've asked for officers' recommendations on that.
So, I mean, I don't think that's something that we...
For a householder application, we wouldn't be recommending.
That's not something we would do.
No.
Okay, Chairman, I'm with everything, and on balance, I'm happy to go with officers' recommendation.
Thank you. So, I've been posed and seconded. Those show of hands, those in favour of this application. Oh, that's unanimous. Thank you. That's been passed. Okay, thank you. Councillor Davis, would you do me a big favour and get Councillor Chandal? Thank you. Okay, so we're back onto the normal agenda. So we're going to item 7, Hayes Bridge Retail Park, Heathrow. Michael, over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. Please be advised, before we start, there is an addendum on this item which includes updates to the wording of Section 106 heads of terms, including conversion of the public art head of term to a planning condition. And informative has also been added to clarify the different types of fit out for the Innovation Hub, which relates to planning condition 15. So item 7 relates to 2 parcels of land highlighted here. It includes Haysbridge Retail Park and Heathrow Interchange, both located on the eastern borough boundary with Ealing. So the application includes the entirety of the retail park and only units 3 and 4 of Heathrow Interchange. Please note that all of these buildings have permission under permitted development legislation to be demolished. The land outlined in blue to the right hand side or to the east is Unit 1 Heathrow Interchange. Please note that this site has permission to be demolished as well to facilitate a substation development to support the data centre development. And then the land outlined in blue to the south is land at Tudor Works, which has been to committee before. It's got approval for, again, data centre development. And phase 1, which is part 1 of 2 of the data centres on that site, has been effectively constructed, soon to be occupied. So the site forms part of the Hayes Strategic Industrial Location, shown in yellow, and you've got greenbelt land to a significant distance to the west, which is the Minette Country Park. Residents are located to the north. The site is within Flood Zone 2, the air quality management and focus area. The Yedding Brook runs to the east, beyond which is the Granume Canal, which is subject to the Ealing Canal Side Conservation Area. That is a bird's eye view of the site as dated 2019, so a bit out of date. And then some photos. So this is the retail park site as seen from Uxbridge Road. This is looking west towards the Uxbridge Road junction. The site access is gained from this point. You've also got the Hyatt Place building in the background, which is 12 stories high, or 40 metres for reference. This is looking east along Uxbridge Road. You've got the the Metro Bank to the right hand side, and then to the north are the residents. These properties would be located 47 metres away from the proposed innovation hub, which I'll show you in a bit, and 77 metres away from phase 1 of the data centre development. Again, I'll show you in a bit. This is the retail park car park looking south. You can see the Tudor Works data centre in the background, which I referenced earlier. This is Ballsbrook Road, which provides access to the Heathrow Interchange site, which I again referenced earlier. That is the Heathrow Interchange site. Again, data centre in the background. And that is the data centre as viewed from Beaconsfield Road. Again, phase 1 of 2. This is the Heathrow Interchange site as viewed from that data centre. And just for reference, you've got the Guru Nanak School, Sikh Academy, along Beaconsfield Road to the south west. And you've also got the Hayes and Yedding Football Club to the south of the Tudor Works site. So for reference, for context, please do note that the Haysbridge Retail Park site has been to committee before, and the application gained a recommendation for approval in December 2023 for a warehouse redevelopment. Once the Section 106 legal agreement is completed, the application would or will be formally approved, but it is currently not approved technically. Please note that the development is large in scale, including heights up to 20 metres, and has established that the redevelopment of the retail park site for industrial purposes is acceptable. So the current application is subject to a hybrid application split into 4 phases. So phase 1 is for full planning permission, and phases 2, 3 and 4 offer outline planning permission with all matters reserved. Phase 1 includes a data centre called LON 6, and it also includes energy infrastructure, access, site security, associated works. Phase 2 is for an innovation hub, which is a unique use. It's an affordable workspace. The intention is that it will be head leased by Brunel University or an equivalent, and sublease to SMEs for the purposes of creating and growing technology-based start-up businesses, and it would also provide some space for ad hoc use by the local community. Phases 3 and 4, again, subject to outline planning permission, they would consist or comprise of 2 further data center developments called LON 7 and LON 8. So you've got LON 6, 7 and 8 under this application, and it again would include energy infrastructure, access, site security and associated works. Referenced phasing there, just quickly, so phase 1 is shown on the left hand side. Again, that's the full planning permission shown there. Phase 2 is the innovation hub, which would sit to the front of the site, fronting onto Oxbridge Road. Phase 3 is the southern portion of the retail park site, and phase 4 is the Heathrow interchange site, all shown and highlighted in green, as you can go from left to right. Right, so the design code applies to the outline planning permission, establishes the design principles that the Innovation Hub, LON 7 and LON 8 data centres must follow. This includes the height, architectural features, materials that must form part of the reserve matters applications to be submitted. And then you've got the parameter plans. So I'll quickly turn the page. So the parameter plans apply to the outline planning permission as well. And this one specifically shows the land uses, which comprises of Class B8 uses for the data centres and a sui generis use for the Innovation Hub. Again, parameter plans for the siting of the blocks as shown there. You've got basement parameters for each data centre, which is where the fuel would be stored to support the use. You've got landscape parameter plans, you've got indicative areas of green showing where landscaping could be accommodated, and you've got roof level parameter plans shown there. Heights, which I think I'll show this one, is a bit easier to engage with. Yes, so there are, oh wait, I skipped ahead a bit. So the Innovation Hub to the right, that is on the Uxbridge Road side. That would transition from lower heights along Uxbridge Road to the greater heights in the data centre development, peaking in the centre at 56 metres high and reducing to circa 40 metres on either side. And then, as I referenced earlier, phase 1 is a detailed planning application subject to full planning permission. So here's the plans for that phase. This is the landscape plan, which shows the provision of the data centre on the left-hand side, retention of the metric bank on the right-hand side, and site access down the middle. The basement and ground floor plans for that data centre, the first and second floor plans, third and fourth, fifth and sixth. And just to explain, this might show it a bit easier, the intention is that generators will be located at the ground level, data halls above, roof plant at roof level, with the office in the middle. And that's the general construction or use of each floor. These are the elevations of LON 6, showing the use of different cladding designs and coloured structural frame at ground level to provide visual interest and distinction. This design is secured as precedent for the other phases in the design code referenced earlier. These are the plans for the transformer building which supports the data centre use. Again, Louvre design, concrete walls and some wayfinding signage provided. This is the security gatehouse, which would provide secure access to the data centre with similar design and materiality. And this is the landscape plan for phase 1, including tree planting, roof level amenity areas, and retention of the Yedding Brook vegetation down the eastern side there. And finally, this is the proposed junction works, which would include a Toucan crossing and reduction in the width of that crossing point to provide easier pedestrian and cyclist access across that point. Right. So, in summary, the loss of the retail park and the 8 warehouses is acceptable, or is accepted. The data centre development is an appropriate use within a strategic industrial location, and the economic benefits of the development are given significant weight. Through consultation with the Greater London Authority, the Council understands that infrastructure providers are deploying solutions to resolve power capacity issues for all development. As the applicant has secured a connection to the power grid, it is confirmed that the proposal would not overburden local grid capacity. Whilst the development is large, it is considered to respect the emerging character of the area and is accepted. The Innovation Hub would also provide an affordable workspace for SMEs, provide a space for community use, and deliver a high-quality piece of public art. The proposal would reduce trips generated by the site and would encourage more sustainable forms of transport through delivery of that Toucan crossing, contributions towards active travel zone measures and a travel plan. As with other data center developments, carbon and air quality emissions are identified as potential harms, but these impacts would be mitigated by the planning conditions and Section 106 obligations proposed. And for the reasons set out in the report, the application is recommended for approval subject to conditions, Section 106 legal agreement and a Stage 2 referral to the GLA. I pass back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Michael. Very good. Open to the floor. So I've got Councillor Chandel and then Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Chairman. A pretty comprehensive report by officers. Well done on that. I think it's a good idea to actually utilise land which is not being used. I'm always up for that. In terms of use, it is what it is. The only thing I have, Chair, is in terms of the phases, we've got quite a few phases to go through. Outline full planning permission, fair enough, but I think it would be prudent to actually have them bring it back to committee through the phases. Most probably they will anyway, because there always are changes happening, but I think it would be prudent to actually get them to come to us on every phase that they're introducing. Apart from that, I would more than happy go with officer's recommendation, and once again say, very good comprehensive report. Thank you for that.
Are you proposing, Councillor Chandler?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Michael, do you want to come back on that one point?
Yes, thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Chandel. I can confirm that all the reserve matters applications would come back to committee for their approval.
Yeah, Councillor Davis and then Councillor Gaelic.
Thank you, Chairman. I have a question on the Section 106. It says that they will, where does it say? Innovate Hub to secure and Innovate Hub a generally affordable workplace, including peppercorn rents, with publicly accessible. What protection have we got to ensure that they stay peppercorn rents? Is there a condition that we can put in or anything like that? Because if they were to change hands, change operators, I'm not even sure if it's a planning condition, so...
It's a 106 agreement,
yeah.
It's in that, so they'd have to adhere to that.
So, for the life of the agreement?
Yeah, for the life of the agreement.
Lovely, thank you. I'd be happy to second it.
Yeah. Yes, I was just confirming it's in perpetuity that the peppercorn rents would remain, and obviously under the terms of the lease, that whoever occupies the building would sign up to that. Have to continue
with the same header terms?
Yeah.
Lovely, I'm happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Davis. Councillor Gaelic.
Thank you, Chair. Just I know that, because of the size of the development, they had to apply for an environmental permit.
Yes.
And it was agreed by the council, because I think we were consulted on that, or beforehand. That's what I read, that the UK Health Security Agency was consulted in local authority normally to get that permit.
Yeah.
So considering that it's a sort of megawatts entity, 250 megawatts are being used. There was another development, another data center in Abbots Langley, where the capacity was much lower. And the contributions they were asking were 12 million, and they have received it for local education and training. I'm just surprised we only are getting, a couple of millions from much higher capacity development.
Thank you, Councillor Gerlich. Understood, noted. In this case, we're not securing off-site contributions, we're getting on-site provision of an innovation hub, which would be for very similar purposes as described. The intention is that it would be operated by Brunel University or an equivalent. The intention being that they'd lease the space out to SMEs for business and technological-based business startups, and the idea being that there's a direct kind of connection between the university education and getting students into the next step of their life, which would be in terms of employment. So perfectly valid concerns to raise, but in this case it's in my opinion better because it's actually on-site provision rather than off-site, which may not necessarily occur. Hopefully that's okay. Thank you.
So we're creating our own corridor of dynamics like the Cambridge Triangle up north. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. When we were proposed and seconded, I just wanted to say that I thought it was a really good application. And if you think around our ambition as a borough to embrace growth and enterprise, I like the entrepreneurship of this. In a world of AI, we're going to need more and more data centres, and actually doing it on a brownfield site that has been derelict, for want of a better word, for some time. If you humour me, and it's exactly what I said last month with the Morrison's application, is just a plea to get on with this. The passage of time, my mind was cast back to December 2023, where we reviewed and approved the previous application. That there seems to be this increasing trend lately that we approve applications and the same site comes back a couple of years later and nothing's happened, and an abandoned retail park there is a stain on the local area. Lots of ASB, I would imagine, and actually, this is a really great investment for the borough that I think we're grateful for, but it would be good to just see some progress.
Totally agree. I think if there's anything that planning law needs to change, it needs to change that we make sure that people go for developments that actually get done rather than keep coming back. I'm proposing seconds. I've got a couple of questions, which I know in the report, but I want to state it publicly, that obviously we have conditions around generating use for testing on the site. We've obviously had that conversation offline, Michael. The other one that you haven't come in up to is I know that in that area Wi-Fi is a real problem. So is there something that we as a committee can do something around that? I know that a lot of the business is suffering from bad Wi-Fi in that area. Will this either make it worse, or will there be something in there that's going to make it better?
Thank you, Chairman. I don't know specifically about Wi-Fi. It wasn't necessarily within my remit of consideration, but it is the data centre, its purpose is to facilitate the digital economy and technology and telecommunications, etc. So it is.
So I'm going to go out on a stretch here, which I always do in this community. You guys are used to it. Is there something we can do an informative, or is there a condition that we can put in here to actually make sure that they are not inflicting damage on other residents in the area for Wi-Fi because they're draining it all? Is there something we can do around that? Yeah, well, I don't. I just think it's something in the area that I know for a fact that the school are in situations where they're trying to raise money because their Wi-Fi is really bad. So I don't want to put something else in that site that we're going to say, ooh, they've got no more Wi-Fi. So I just want to know whether they can actually the 106 agreement, maybe they can contribute to doing something around that area. But Natalie, sorry, am I rambling on?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to comment on the suggestion it not being a planning consideration. So an informative, yes. A condition, I think that would be a stretch because it would have to satisfy the 6-part test.
Thank you very much, Natalie. I said I don't mind which, but one will be enough. So can we have an informative around that? it's just something, maybe a conversation, Michael, that you can have with the developer about it, because it is I know it's a big issue in that area. So.
It is, just to add to this, paragraph 7.137 to 7.138 of the committee report does relate to digital connectivity, and policy SI6 of the London Plan requires that ducting space for full fibre connectivity is provided as part of development. Our conclusion as part of that assessment was, given the nature of the use, that it was facilitating exactly that, but we can be more...
it's not so much of the site, Michael, because I know that they're going to do it, but they're going to have all the state-of-the-art stuff to draw that Wi-Fi in, that data, because obviously it's a data centre. My process is that with anything like electricity or anything else, we have an issue that someone takes something away, it's somewhere else, it can be not so good. So if we can have it's just something that I think that if we really want to have a digital corridor from Brunel University to Hayes, then we need to make sure that the Wi-Fi is one of the most fundamental things for that to happen. And if those small SMEs are coming in from Brunel, they will need Wi-Fi too. So it's just something, if you can just strengthen it up a bit. Ed, do you want to come back?
Yeah, we can draft informative. Would you like to see the informative before?
I would love to see it. That'd be my pleasure. Thank you very much. So we are seconded and agreed with those, and that slight little changes everybody can indicate. Agreed? Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair.
Sorry, over to you, Mike.
Thank you. So this application relates to the change of use of Mead House from a healthcare use to use as supported living accommodation. That's a Class C2 use specifically for adults with learning disabilities. So there's the description of development just here. This is the site location plan. So Mead House is a large detached building. It was constructed in the 1930s. Site lies to the south of the Hayes Park site. It's last used as a healthcare use, previously used as a hostel until 1995. It was decommissioned for healthcare use by the NHS in 2023. So the site's accessed from Hayes End Road to the south of the site. There are residential dwellings to the southwest and to the north of the site. And the site to the east is used also as supported living accommodation. Here's the site constraints plan. So the site lies within the green belt. However, as addressed in the report, development is considered not to conflict with green belt policy, as the application relates to a change of use of an existing building and small-scale ancillary structures. Buildings on the Hayes Park site to the north are Grade 2 listed. However, accounting for the scope of the proposals, it's considered that there will be no impact or harm in relation to these heritage assets, or indeed the Grade 2 listed Springwell House to the south of the site. Here's a bird's eye view of the site. This is a site photo, so this photo is showing the approach to the site from Hayes End Road. And this is the front of the building, which includes an extensive area of car parking. And this is the rear of the site, which includes a large area of garden space. So the site plan shows that the proposed extended changes would be minimal. There'll be a reduction in parking spaces from 32 to 8 spaces. As set out in the report, the anticipated number of vehicle movements would be low, at an estimated 8 per day. That's significantly lower than the existing use, and the development would not have an adverse impact on highway safety or amenity and officers' view. The trees on the site are subject to TPO. It's proposed that all existing trees would be retained. The conditions recommended to ensure that the trees are protected during the course of works. The garden to the rear of the site will be used by future occupiers and provides an extensive area of outdoor amenity space. With regard to the existing healthcare use, as noted in the report, the services formerly provided at Mead House have since been relocated by the NHS elsewhere in the borough, so it's therefore considered that the loss of Mead House as a healthcare facility would not conflict with policy DMCI 1 of the local plan. This is the proposed ground floor plan. So the ground floor plan includes the provision of communal areas. These would be available for occupiers, for activities and for general social uses. There's also therapy rooms at the ground floor level, staff space, office space and other ancillary uses. Got 4 ensuite bedrooms also proposed at this level. And the first floor plan shows a layout of 12 rooms, so all of the rooms in the building are proposed to be en suite, with sharing the communal facilities on the ground floor. And here's the second floor plan. So there's further 4 rooms proposed at second floor level. Turning to the principle of the change of use, the provision of care accommodation, including for persons with learning disabilities, is supported. This is in line with policies DMH8 of the local plan, policy H12 of the London plan. There is an identified local need for this form of accommodation and across London as a whole. The report sets out staffing and management arrangements for the facility. Specific detail will be set out further within an accompanying Section 106 agreement to ensure appropriate management of the building and safeguarding for the building for its stated use as C2 supported living accommodation. And the elevations, as noted in the report, scope of changes are very minor, limited changes to the window and infilling with door openings. These are the front and rear elevations, front elevation at the top, rear elevation below. And the 2 side elevations, again, scope of changes in relation to these elevations is minimal. So for the reasons outlined in the report, officers recommend approval of the application subject to completion of a Section 106 legal agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Councillor Davis, Councillor Bennett, Councillor Chandel, Councillor Steen.
Thank you, Chairman. This is another real good report, actually. Answers a lot of my questions, so I'll take that. I just want to, for the residents of the ward, what assurances have we got? Because it's a C2 at the moment. It would have to be a C4 to be a HMO, I'm assuming. So, and just to confirm, that would have to come back for planning permission change, and it couldn't just happen overnight. And also, can we confirm, is that going to be people of all ages in there, or is it going to be people under the age of 21? I may have seen it in the report, but I've read so much, I'm a bit hazy.
Mike, do you want to pick up for a minute?
Yes, sure. If it were to change use to C4 use, that would need planning permission. Also securing through the legal agreement the C2 use for the building, so that would be entirely secured and it couldn't be used for any other purposes. The second query, sorry, remind me again.
Just wanted to know, is it for people of all ages, or will it be another, like, children's home, etc.?
Yes, so it's for adults, for over the age of 18, I believe, yeah.
Perfect, thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I remember reading in the report that this used to be a residential institution, I think was the term used. There's something I hadn't heard for a long time. So this is kind of just to revert back to something that it's already been before. The building's been empty since being used for COVID testing, so it's good to make use of it, and I'd be happy to go with officer's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. So I'm proposed Councillor Chandel.
Thank you, Chair. There's minimal changes, so the harm on Greenbelt, so that I think that satisfies it, and I'm glad to see there isn't many changes to it. I have visited this property, So I'm happy with what both my colleagues have said. Let's move forward.
Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Chair. It's actually quite good development and the building use for good. A little bit of concern about the car parking. Is there enough parking spaces there?
Mike, do you want to take that?
I mean, the applicants will be required to submit a travel plan. Obviously, there's a reduction in the number of car parking spaces, but the demand for car parking will be lower compared with the existing use. We're satisfied that, in accordance with the number of staff that will be working there, there are sufficient spaces provided on site.
Okay, Councillor Singh.
So I'm happy to support that.
And second it, yeah? Thank you very much. So I've proposed and seconded. There is actually also a turning circle for buses to come in, small coaches to come in. Okay. So I'm proposed and seconded. Show of hands. All those in favour? Brilliant. Well done. Okay. Thank you. Next one is item 9, COMAG usually. Right. Back to you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chairman. As you say, item 9 relates to the COMAG site. The application proposes section 73 to vary conditions 2 and 3. 2 is the approved plans and 3 is the approved documents. They are separate. One contains drawings for the proposed development and the other contains the supporting documentation. Of Planning Permission reference 24843 APP 2022-2403, which was dated the 11th of the 6th, 2024. The planning history set out in the committee pack the planning history set out in the committee pack. However, some members on this planning committee may recall the parent commission being presented to the then Major Applications Committee on the 18th of May 2023, where committee members voted in favour of officers' recommendation to approve the application. Therefore, consent was granted for the erection of a building comprising of 105 residential units, 99 square metres of community use space, with associated car parking, cycle parking, soft and hard landscaping. The proposal to amend conditions 2, which is the approved plans condition, and 3, the approved documents. The changes to the planning consent are set out on page 247 of the committee report pack, but in summary they involve a construction of a 6-storey extension to the rear of the building, internal layout changes and including the change of use of the community use floor space to a residence lounge, minor facade changes and a change to the affordable housing provision. I'll take you through the slides. Maybe not. Yeah, there we go. So here is the location plan. The site is an allocated site within the Hillingdon Local Plan Part 2 site allocations document. The appropriate reference for the site allocation is Site Allocation Policy SA38, which comprises of 3 land parcels. Site A is the former Padcroft work site, which benefits from planning consent for residential redevelopment and is now fully occupied. Site B, which is the application site, and Site C, which is the Tavistock work site directly to the east of this plan. And that has received planning consent by PINS, but is yet to be built out. The site is also located on the edge of the town centre and within 2 to 3 minutes walk of the West Drayton train station. Here is the constraints plan. The site is former industrial land, but as explained, it's an allocated site within the local plan for residential redevelopment. This proposal would conform with those site allocation details. Here's an aerial image of the site within the red edge. Here are some photos. So site A, which is Padcroft Works, is here. Tavistock Works is just to the right hand side. This is our application site. You've got Winnock Road here, 2-storey traditional dwellings, and Tavistock Road to the south of the picture. Here is a view from Winnock Road. Again, Padcroft Works in the distance. This is from Tavistock Road looking south. Pagcroft Works on the right hand side. I'll take you through some of the drawings. So here are the previously approved ground floor plans. You've got the first floor plan, approved second floor plan, approved third floor plan, approved fourth floor plan, approved fifth floor plan, and approved sixth floor plan, seventh floor roof plan. Here are the previously approved elevations. You'll see that there are only minor facade changes on the proposed. So here's the proposed ground floor plan. Parking remains the same. Proposed first floor plan. It should be noted that the extension, although it is a 6-storey extension, it extends less than 1 metre in depth, 15 metres in length, and equates to only 14.5 square metres per floor. I'll come back to that in a moment. Proposed second floor plan. Proposed third floor plan. Proposed fourth floor plan. Fifth floor plan. Sixth floor plan. And seventh roof plan. So just in terms of the assessment, with regards to the external changes, I've already discussed the modest six-storey extension, and when viewed in the context of the scale of the approved development, the extension is minor in scale and would have no impact on the character and appearance or the design quality of the development. The amendment and other minor amendments are set out on page 247 of the committee report, are derived from a requirement to comply with the amended and enhanced fire safety regulations which have been adopted post the parent permission being issued. There is a notable change to the internal floor layout outside of the fire regulations, which proposes to change the use of the community hub secured as part of the parent permission and the expired permission back in 2018 with a residence lounge. Whilst this is regrettable, the community hub was carried forward from the planning consent issued in 2018. The applicant has stated that given the site's location outside of the town centre and the vacancy of units within the town centre and its siting within a residential building, the site is not an attractive location for a community hub. Officers broadly agree with this statement, and this is consistent with other applications which we have seen more recently for community use space within the town centre itself. Noting two which have recently been approved on the High Street, and there is an existing community space within St Stephen's Road, both of which are just over 100 metres from this location. This compounds the applicant's view that this may not be a desirable location for a community hub. Whilst that is regrettable, we must note that the community hub itself is 99 square metres. It's not being converted into an additional residential unit and would be a communal space available to the residents and occupants of the development. Finally, the proposal seeks to amend the affordable housing provision. The parent permission secured an on-site affordable housing contribution of 23% by Habit Room, comprising of 14 affordable rent units and 8 shared ownership. Accompanying the submission is a financial viability assessment, which has been reviewed by an independent third-party viability consultant on behalf of the council. The viability process is often complex and can involve multiple rounds of negotiation to get to a point where the assumptions which are calculated to form an affordable offer are agreed. In this case, the applicant has agreed the variables which have been taken from the review undertaken by the council's third-party consultant, and those are set out on page 272 of the committee report pack. This review concludes that even with the reduction in the profit level to 15%, which is the baseline set out within the development plan, the applicant cannot viably deliver the 23% affordable on-site. A surplus of 487,776 has been identified. However, the applicant has made an off-site cash in lieu offer of £800,000, which has been accepted. Officers can confirm that the affordable housing provision to be secured is the maximum reasonable, subject to the applicant entering into a deed of variation to secure the amended affordable housing contribution and agreement to the relevant review mechanisms. The application is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Before I open to committee, I'll ask a few questions. As the Chairman, I think I have the right to do that sometimes. 800,000, really good deal. I don't know how you've done that. I won't play poker with you. But 800, that's really great. But that money is then earmarked for, you're going to tell me, what's it for?
So, the money, I think first of all, we were always of the opinion that the affordable housing provision should be delivered on site. However, what could be delivered in terms of being able to find an RP to take those units on would involve a product which is not considered to be genuinely affordable. In which case the cash in lieu sum, which would go into a pot, would allow the council to spend that money on something which is genuinely affordable. So it could go towards the provision of another development which is LAR, so London Affordable Rent, and a more genuinely affordable product.
Yeah, so it would be specific for that type?
Yes, for affordable housing.
It can't be used for anything else, it's just for affordable rental places in some other place. Quite good, isn't it? Lots of developments could do that. We could make loads of money, build loads of houses for affordable people, but there you go. Who do I know? Councillor Davis, you indicated...
Chairman, you stole my question. So, looking at the report and all the information we've got before us, I can see there was a couple of objections, or there were some objections from residents, but that seems to have been resolved within the report, and I can see that there was no submissions from ward councillors, which would surprise me. So, with the information that we've got, I'm happy to go with officers' recommendations on this. The information's there that we need.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. That makes my life easy. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. You also stole my question around where the 800,000 goes. So, I mean, obviously, again, this just goes back to the point I made on a previous application, that it was 2.5 years ago that we sat here and considered this at length and approved it. We're in an environment in the country where we need more homes, and 2.5 years on, nothing's happened, but that's out of scope of the committee. I just had a question, I suppose. It's around the construction management plans, so specifically wheel washing and the hours of operation. So I drive to work down Useley High Street every day, and I know that our cabinet member has been down there because there's been a lot of resident complaint about how dirty Tavistock Road is from construction traffic. And when I drive to work 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, there are a lot of construction lorries going up down that road to wherever, which I'm sure is permissible, but are we, in light of how things have, resident sentiment has maybe shifted a little bit over the last 2.5 years, are we sure that we belt and braces, we have got everything we need to make sure that the road, the highway, gets washed and cleaned in the way that we want, and that residents are not further aggravated by this construction?
Chris, over to you.
Thank you, Councillor Bennett. Very good question. I can see that the applicant is in the audience, and he probably understands the complications with trying to construct this development in this location because of some of the issues that Tavistock Works experiences. I can say that although it's not within the realms of planning to control some of that, I am involved in those discussions, and I will be sitting in on some of those meetings with the highways team to ensure that the construction of the development is restricted as much as possible from harming local residents. There is a construction management plan condition attached to the original consent, so that safely still remains in there. I believe, knowing Councillor Davis, we would have included wheel washing at the time, but we can certainly double check to make sure that that was the case, and if it's not, then we could have that varied, and we can confirm that to the chairman after, if you want. Yeah,
I'm sure the wheel wash is there. I don't know whether this is mine. I'm not sure. Maybe I did do it. It looks familiar. I think it's very clever with the grounds, and no, I'll refer again. If you want to change the planning regulations, these are the real things that we need to do. We need to make sure we build, because if we built everything that we've got in our books, we wouldn't have a housing problem in Hillingdon, we'd have more than enough. So, that's what I'll say. Any other questions? So we proposed and seconded? Yes?
I don't believe I did second, but I am happy to say.
Right, great, okay, fine. So we're proposed and seconded. Show of hands those in favour of the officer's recommendation. That's approved. Good luck, get working on it. We want to see it built. Thank you. Next to item 10, Acorn Youth Club. Okay, all right.
Okay, this is the final item on tonight's agenda. The reason it's been referred to Planning Committee is because the London Borough of Hillingdon is a freehold, has the freehold of the site, essentially. As you'll see here, it is part of, as you can see, the land is like part of the wider park that it's in. So the application is for a single-storey building for the use of the Acorn Youth Club. So just as a bit of a background, the Acorn Youth Club has been an established community facility since 1993, and it's for disabled young people in Ruislip. So if we just click through, you can see the constraints plan there. There's nothing of significance that comes up. And this is where the proposed single-storey building will be placed on the site. This is the floor plan, roof plan, elevations, elevations again, the side elevations, a section, so you can see that the maximum height is 3.45 metres and at one end, and the lower height at the other end is 2.95 metres. Okay, so just as a bit of background, this is a bird's eye view plan of 2008. So there was a planning permission granted in 2006 for one larger outbuilding. So you can see there the foundations are implemented, but due to funds and financial reasons, it was never fully built out. So instead, you can see the building that was built instead there. So you can see that this is what is existing on site, the outbuilding, and then you can see the foundations are still on the ground there. So this proposal is they'll be using the existing foundations to build the proposed outbuilding. Okay, this is just some images of the existing building, so you can see it there. Again, another one from the side looking at the side street. I think it's Lyndhurst down the side there. I think that's the last one. Okay, so officers have considered the application and that it complies with the local plan and recommend approval.
Thank you. Oh, look at that. Just turned up. Councillor Chandel, Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'm a bit surprised we're not building a HMO or 35-storey building there. Listen, it's a great idea. I think we need these kinds of facilities available in the borough, so I'm more than happy to go with officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Chandel. Councillor Davis?
I have to concur with Councillor Chandel. I'm surprised this has come to committee, but I understand why. It's a great project. It's still part of our borough. I'm happy to second officer's recommendations.
Brilliant. Someone proposed and seconded. You can show your hands. Those in favour of officer's recommendation. Thank you very much. That's it for tonight. Thank you all very much for your time. Have a safe journey home, and good night to anybody that is watching. I don't know how many people. Okay.